Every person who enters the workplace, whether fresh out of school or seasoned with years of experience, carries within them the desire to succeed. Yet very few ever stop to ask what it really means to be the best at work. For some, it's about getting promotions, bigger paychecks, and recognition. For others, it's about building mastery, contributing deeply, and finding fulfillment in what they do. Being the best at your work is not about comparing yourself endlessly to others. It's about developing the habits, the mindset, and the discipline that make you indispensable, respected, and personally satisfied. This audiobook is not about shallow tricks to outshine your coworkers. Instead, it is about understanding the deeper principles that drive performance, resilience, and growth in real workplaces, with real challenges and real people. Think for a moment about the common mistakes most employees make. They show up each day without a clear sense of purpose. They coast through their assignments, doing what is required but rarely more. They avoid difficult conversations, fail to ask questions, and let small frustrations fester until they grow into resentment. Or they chase recognition by playing politics instead of building genuine value. If you recognize yourself in any of these patterns, you are not alone. Almost every workplace is filled with people who unconsciously repeat these mistakes. The good news is that by becoming aware of them, you can begin to make different choices. One of the first truths about being the best at your work is that it does not start with talent. It starts with mindset. Carol Dweck, in her well-known book Mindset, demonstrated the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset sees intelligence and ability as static. You're either good at something or you're not. A growth mindset understands that skills can be developed through effort, feedback, and persistence. When you show up at work with a growth mindset, you stop seeing feedback as criticism and start seeing it as opportunity. You stop fearing failure and start using it as fuel to improve. Think about how many people at work spend their energy hiding mistakes rather than learning from them. They may look good in the short run, but in the long run, the person who is willing to adapt, to learn, and to grow will always rise higher. Consider this example. A young manager takes on their first leadership role. Instead of admitting what they don't know, they pretend to have all the answers. Their team, sensing insecurity, grows frustrated. Compare this to another young manager who openly acknowledges they are learning, who asks their team for input, and who treats mistakes as stepping stones rather than disasters. Over time, the second manager earns far more trust, respect, and success. Which one do you think people want to work with? Which one do you think their organization will reward? The difference is not talent, it is mindset. Another crucial element of being the best at your work is attention to detail. So many people overlook the small things that signal professionalism. Being on time, keeping promises, double-checking work before submission, and communicating clearly. These actions may sound basic, but ask yourself honestly. How many times have you sent an email without proofreading it? How often have you cut corners when nobody was watching? Small lapses accumulate, and over time, they paint a picture of reliability or the lack of it. The best workers do not seek perfection in everything, but they respect their work enough to deliver it with care. Now let us address one of the biggest workplace mistakes: focusing only on your job description. People often say, "That's not my job," as a way of protecting themselves from extra work. But the truth is, the people who become indispensable are those who look beyond their immediate duties and think about the bigger picture. They ask, what does the team need? What would make the project succeed? How can I add value here? This does not mean overloading yourself with endless tasks or burning out by taking on other people's responsibilities. It means having the mindset of ownership. When you act like an owner, people notice. When you limit yourself to the bare minimum, people notice that too. Take the story of Howard Schultz, former CEO of Starbucks. Schultz did not come from wealth, nor did he begin with privilege. But he noticed things others overlooked. He saw how employees were treated in the coffee industry and chose to give Starbucks workers healthcare benefits, even part-time employees. This attention to people, something well beyond a CEO's traditional duties, built loyalty and transformed the company. Schultz's success was not because he clung to his job description. It was because he looked for where he could make a difference. Let's pause here and reflect. Are you the kind of worker who waits to be told what to do, or the kind who anticipates what needs to be done? Do you look for ways to make life easier for your manager, your team, your customers? Or do you stay in the narrow lane of just enough? The answers to these questions determine whether you remain average or rise to excellence. Another mistake people make at work is neglecting relationships. They focus on tasks and forget that behind every project, every email, every meeting, there are people. Success is not only about what you know. It is about how you work with others. Daniel Goleman, in his work on emotional intelligence, showed that the most successful leaders are not necessarily the smartest in terms of IQ. They are the ones who can read emotions, build trust, and connect with people. Emotional intelligence is a skill you can practice daily. It means listening before you speak, noticing when a colleague is stressed, showing appreciation, and managing your own emotions rather than letting them explode in unhelpful ways. Consider two co-workers with equal technical skill. One is brilliant but arrogant, dismissive of others, and quick to anger. The other is competent but also kind, collaborative, and trustworthy. Which one do you think others prefer to work with? Which one will be recommended for leadership, promotions, or key opportunities? Talent may get you in the door, but emotional intelligence keeps you in the room. Equally important is the ability to manage your time and energy. Many employees complain about being overwhelmed, but they fail to prioritize effectively. They confuse being busy with being productive. They answer every email instantly, attend every meeting, and stay late to show effort, but they rarely step back to ask, which of these tasks actually drives results? The best workers are ruthless with their focus. They distinguish between urgent and important. They set boundaries, say no when needed, and protect time for deep work. Author Cal Newport, in Deep Work, explains that the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks is becoming increasingly rare and valuable. In a world of constant notifications, the employee who can carve out hours of undisturbed focus will always outperform the one who is fragmented and scattered. Ask yourself, how much of your workday is truly focused? How often are you pulled into distractions that do not move the needle? Being the best at your work means learning to guard your focus as fiercely as you guard your paycheck. Real mastery also requires feedback. Yet most people avoid it. They fear hearing what they did wrong, so they stay in the comfort of silence. But silence breeds stagnation. The best workers actively seek feedback, even when it stings. They ask managers, colleagues, and mentors, how can I improve? What did I miss? What could I have done differently? They don't just ask once a year during performance reviews. They ask continuously because they understand that growth is fueled by honest reflection. One classic case study comes from Toyota. The company's success was built not on perfection but on its willingness to embrace mistakes. On Toyota's production lines, any worker could pull a cord to stop the assembly if they spotted a problem. This was unheard of in other companies, where stopping production was seen as failure. At Toyota, it was seen as improvement. By encouraging workers to surface mistakes instead of hiding them, Toyota built a culture of excellence. How different would your workplace look if everyone felt safe enough to admit errors and improve together? Being the best also means taking responsibility when things go wrong. Many workers point fingers, shift blame, or hide failures. But true professionals own up to mistakes quickly, fix them, and learn from them. This builds credibility. People know they can trust you, not because you are flawless, but because you are accountable. Think of the times you have seen someone dodge responsibility at work. How did it affect your trust in them? Now think of someone who admitted an error openly and corrected it. How did your respect for them grow? Accountability is a powerful differentiator. Another key to excellence is adaptability. The workplace is changing faster than ever. New technologies, shifting markets, and global challenges mean that what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. The best employees are not rigid. They are learners. They are willing to res-kill, to embrace new tools, and to approach change with curiosity instead of fear. They don't complain endlessly about change. They position themselves as part of the solution. Look at the companies that failed because they resisted change. Blockbuster dismissed Netflix. Kodak ignored digital photography. In both cases, smart people clung to the comfort of the past instead of adapting to the future. Do not make the same mistake in your own career. Be the person who learns, adapts, and grows with change. So what does all of this mean for you right now in your current role? It means that being the best at your work is not about one big breakthrough. It is about the accumulation of daily habits. Showing up with a growth mindset, paying attention to detail, going beyond your job description, building strong relationships, managing your time and energy, seeking feedback, taking responsibility, and adapting to change. These habits, practiced consistently, will elevate you far beyond those who drift through their work on autopilot. Every day at work, you are writing your reputation. You are showing your colleagues, your managers, your clients, and yourself what kind of professional you are. The question is, are you showing up as average, or are you showing up as excellent? Excellence is not reserved for a chosen few. It is available to anyone willing to make better choices, to challenge common mistakes, and to commit to growth. So the next time you step into your workplace, ask yourself, how will I show up today? Will I bring focus or distraction? Ownership or excuses? Kindness or arrogance? Adaptability or resistance? These small choices, repeated daily, are what determine whether you become forgettable or unforgettable in your work. Being the best at your work is not about competing with everyone else. It is about competing with the version of yourself that settled yesterday. If you can do that day after day, then promotions, respect, fulfillment, and success will follow naturally. The workplace is not just a place where you earn a paycheck. It is the training ground where you become the person you are meant to be.